All right, guys, let's finish up our section 3 notes. We're going to wrap it up with talking about weathering and erosion and how they're related, but actually also how they're different too. Okay, so Earth's surface, once it's created, all these things happening on our plate tectonics, all the magma coming up, everything like that, it doesn't going to stay the way we found it. Okay, surface is continually being altered by wind, water. Other examples, ice. We have. All right, let's write that down. All these creating weathering. And weathering is a process by which rocks are broken down. And you can see an example here of ice getting into cracks, filling it out, and as it freezes, the water expands and it cracks those rocks a little bit more. So we've got wind, water, ice, okay? Heat itself can actually do it too. If you go down here, you can see how heating the rock surface, letting it cool, that expanding, contracting can create cracks, and eventually that rock is broken down and taken away. Another thing that can do it is chemicals, either from things like acid rain or from organisms like lichens, and you can see here. So organisms can do it. People themselves walking on the rocks. We talked about how we're not allowed to walk on the glacier grooves up in Kelleys Island. Okay, plants, they'll also erode or weather rock and break it up. So that's what weathering is: breakup of rock being broken down into smaller parts. Okay, now unless something happens, that rock's going to stay there. If it does move, that's what we call erosion. Okay, so erosion is the process by which materials on the Earth's surface are loosened, dissolved, worn away. So that's the weathering part, and transported from one place to another by natural agents, such as, what are you going to have? You're going to have wind, water, again, ice, okay, like our glaciers we talked about. Also gravity, just the fact that it's going to fall, or it might roll downhill. That's all part of the erosion process. We see erosion happening on riverbanks. We see erosion happening on cliffs. They're all over. You have some really great pictures on your tables to look at. We've got a good book there, Earthscapes, talks about what's going to happen as rocks erode. Now, as rocks are eroded away, okay, as they're weathered and the erosion is taking place, they become smoother and rounder. We've talked about river rocks before. They're being tumbled. All those sharp edges are being dulled by friction with other rocks. Okay. Another thing that can happen is coastlines and gorges are created. Okay. And you're going to see places like you can see gorges. Okay. Coastlines. I'm going to go ahead here in a second. You can see this coastline. These cliffs have been eroded away. The cliffs of lime. Okay, our Appalachian Mountains have become softer and rounder. That's all due to erosion. Or, of course, this famous gorge, also known as the Grand Canyon, caused by the erosion of Colorado River on the land. Or right by the Grand Canyon, actually one of my favorite national parks, beautiful, I think it's actually even prettier than the Grand Canyon in many ways, you have Zion National Park, which is another canyon land, okay, out west in Arizona. Absolutely beautiful. Those gorges are created by that weathering, okay. Oops, look at there. And the gorges. It can also create beaches, wind erosion, or water erosion. You're going to find some places where there's a lot of wind and not many plants can happen. So like Daytona Beach. Okay, if you've ever been into a nice white beach, black sand beach too. Wide beach is what I was trying to say. Okay, with plenty of sand area, it's going to be caused by wind erosion. Now, as these rocks break down, they're going to come into smaller and smaller parts, and that's where we get our creation of soil. Okay, so we're going to spend some time later this year on soils and what the different parts are, but right now I want you to know that soils come from their parent material, Okay, so the thing that's made it form, so it could be the bedrock, again, that solid rock layer beneath the soil that we come from. It could also be created from floods, so water carrying soil from one area to another, or, like we've said before, moving glaciers. So soils can be created by a couple different means, and we're going to talk about that later this year. I do want you to know, though, because it does involve the breakdown of rock, these processes are not very fast. It can take hundreds or thousands of years just to make a few centimeters of soil. Okay. So that's it for section 3, or sorry, unit 3, section 1, part 3. If you have any questions, let me know, and have a great one. We'll see you later.